What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast. We have episode 22 today, and my friends, we got a lot to talk about today. Lots of stuff going on in the world of sports. Obviously, we got basketball back in action after the All-Star break. We got spring ball incoming tomorrow for the Guardians, and we got some NFL news. So some big NFL news that could really uh be in favor of the Browns. So before we start off, Andrew, how we feeling today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great, man. Having a day off. We're feeling good. Having a great weekend so far. So things are going great, man.
Absolutely. And before we get to all of the stuff, quick shout out because yesterday was Andrew's birthday. So shout
Hey.
out to our boy Andrew. He's getting old like me. Me and
Yeah.
him are around the same age. So, yeah. How does it feel to be getting closer and closer and closer to 30, my friend?
2 years away, man. Two years away. 28 years old now, so we're getting there.
I have about a year and a half until I'm 30, so it's incoming. It
It's
really is.
incoming.
It sucks.
It
Like
doesn't
there's
feel
no
good.
yeah, it doesn't feel good at all. So yeah, man. Shout out to you. Obviously we got a big year incoming here, so
Oh, yeah.
um but yeah, he got to attend the Cavs' first game back free via All-Star break and did not go as planned. Donovan Mitchell obviously was out last night, which seems
Mhm.
to be some sort of illness right now. So it sounds like he might have just gotten sick during the break. But the Cavs, man, just started off a little slow. And the Magic are a pretty good team. And I think they just messed around a little too much and just weren't fully prepared for what the Magic were going to bring. And I don't think they were necessarily prepared for Donovan to be out as well. So, what did you see at the game last night that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a simple case of Donovan was a game time decision. They didn't know if he was going to play or not, and he decided against it. So, which I mean is fair case in point
Yeah.
that when you're sick like that, you just sit out. You don't play. You don't want to get other people sick. You don't want to risk any other of your stars getting sick. So, but it was just nothing could get going. I mean, the Magic were balling out. They were, I think, like 57% from three. So anytime they shot at three, it was just knocked down easy. Like we did our best. Like that's all I can say because we outscored them in the paint. It was 56-46 in the paint. We outscored them by 10 in the paint. So that wasn't an issue.
No.
It was just every three they made, everything they had, they just knocked down a three. Like,
Yeah.
and we just couldn't keep pace with it. So it was just about getting stops, and we just couldn't get this. We just couldn't stop them from getting threes, and they had a lot of 3-point opportunities on and ones and stuff like that too. So it was a lot of physicality, and the Cavs just definitely weren't for that. Definitely weren't ready for that physicality coming off the All Star break.
Yeah, and it's gonna happen. And
Mm.
obviously, when you don't have your best scorer, it's definitely gonna hurt you a little bit. But starting to look at the box score, obviously, that Wagner kid, that Moritz Wagner kid, had a fucking game against us. 22
Yeah.
points, 7 of 12 from the field. He even made a three, 7 rebounds. I mean, it just sounds like they were able to kind of control the pace, but like other than him, nobody really seemed to went off against them. And really, what it came down to on the Cavs end is it looks like we just didn't necessarily. I mean, we didn't even really shoot the ball bad. Like Garland was 3 of 5. He had 10 assists. From what I understand, it was a little bit of the turnover game. It was a little bit of
Mm.
again just the physicality. I'm starting to look here at turnovers. Yeah, Garland
17
and Struss
turnovers.
both had 4 each. Levert had 2. Niang had 2. The starting lineup all at least had 1 turnover. So kind of a sloppy game, but again, you're gonna kind of have that at times, especially just right off of the break. So it stinks. The one thing that I do not like as well, everybody in the starting lineup played at least 30 minutes. I don't like that. I don't like that
Yeah,
at all.
I think the reason why that happened too is because we ended up going down so early,
But they
and
had to.
it's almost like you kind of had to because you needed points back and you needed guys to start scoring. And what is nice to see is that your all of your starting five had you know, at least 18 points apiece.
Yeah.
Like everyone scored, everyone had buckets. It's just the fact that, again, you know, when you look at it, we're shooting 45% from three, which is not bad at all. But
Yeah.
when they're shooting 56% from three, it's a whole different ball game in that regard, because every three they're shooting, they're just basically making it at that point. Like, at least everyone shot 50% from three on it. And it was one of those unexpected games where, like you said, Maurice Wagner just went off for 22. And, you know, his brother's usually the star on the team, Franz Wagner. And I mean, I think he finished with like 14, 15 points himself.
Yeah.
So he still had a pretty solid game. But yeah, no, Maurice came off the bench and just would not miss anything. Like, he was, from my point of view, he was scoring every time he touched the ball. The ball was going into the bucket. Like,
Yeah.
and he was hammering, and you could tell it was frustrating Jared Allen and Mobley, but he was hammering Mobley and Allen all night long. Like, neither one of them, and don't get me wrong, they both played great defense against him. It's just he could stop scoring against them. So
Yeah.
there's really nothing in reality that they could do to stop him.
Yeah.
So it was just a case of a guy on the bench just going off, and just, you can't stop him.
And like that's how the domino falls.
Mhm.
You know, at times, you know, sometimes guys are just gonna have good nights, and that's how it is. It's fine. I don't think anybody should necessarily freak out. But they do have another game tonight, and they are facing the 76ers, which obviously,
Mhm.
the last time we faced them, I think we lost by 2.
Yep.
And that was still when Garland was still getting acclimated. So, I'm really hoping for a much cleaner game out of the guys. I think they just need to have a solid bounce back. Garland really needs it. He has
Yeah.
been struggling to not turn the ball over. He's been averaging anywhere from like 2 to 4 a game, and he's not playing the cleanest. He's still scoring now, which is nice to see. He's starting to shoot the ball a little bit, but his confidence has got to get back if this team really, really, really wants to start, going to that next level. And if he doesn't, I mean, that's a conversation then for, the end of the year where you're saying, who's more valuable at this point to move forward with anyway, Garland or Mitchell? And everybody's going to pick Donovan, every time. But Garland, when he's on, is a very good point guard who has unlimited range, has pretty solid handles, and can make plays. I mean, he still had 10 assists last night, so it's not like he didn't affect the game. It's just, man, these costly turnovers have got to stop. You have got to just play within the offense. Stop rushing yourself. That's his biggest problem, I think.
And
He likes
I
to
could
rush himself all the time.
and I could tell you too, and this is probably what obviously people don't see on TV when you're at the game.
Mhm.
I mean, and again, I'm not blaming this on anybody and stuff like that too, but the officiating kind of wasn't the greatest either.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I heard.
The officiating was not that spectacular. They were calling off-ball screens fouls like every time against the Cavs, but a couple of like Maurice Wagner's points, like he had Mobley and Allen, and he would like do a spin move, kind of like stiff arm Mobley Allen, then go up with a hand, wouldn't call nothing, and it's one of those games. And I think a couple of, or no, one of Wagner's baskets, Anthony,
Mhm.
number 50 on Orlando,
Yeah.
legit stepped out of bounds, and they didn't call it. And then he made a pass out to a three for Wagner, and he scored, and he made it. So I was like, that's three. And the Cavs missed, and they scored again. So it's like, you just gave 5 points.
Yeah.
And no. It was an and 1-3. So you just gave them 4 free points. And we were, mind you, at that time of the game, the Cavs were actually, the score was tied at that time of the game. And this was like late third quarter, so the score was tied. The Cavs had just came back from 12. So the Cavs came back from 12, cut the deficit, tie ball game, and you just gave 4 free points to Orlando in that regard because you missed the clear cut. And I mean, it's not like he barely touched the end line. Like, he was out by a full foot. Like, he was out.
Mm-hmm.
And they just ignored it. Like, they just let it go. And it's like, okay, see, this is getting ridiculous. And you could hear Garland just screaming, like, especially when you're 5 rows up from the floor, you could hear Garland screaming, like, oh my fucking God, man. Like, he was, like he was getting frustrated, and JB was getting frustrated. JB got hit with a tech in that same regard too. Um, I know one of the referees was that girl that Luka Doncic called hot or whatever during the
Oh
game.
yeah.
It was,
Jeez.
so, and she was one of them, and the two others, I think they were notorious for being bad because I think we had those two same guys too at I guess OKC, and they were horrendous in that
Mm,
game too against OKC because that was the game that I also went to. I went and Okoro got elbowed in the face.
mm.
Wasn't called. He was sitting there laying there holding his face, and they wouldn't stop play or whatever. They just kept jumping over him, and he actually got stepped on too, which also didn't get called. They actually called a foul on Okoro because he got stepped on, and it obviously disrupted the shooter.
Yeah.
And so they called a foul on Okoro while he's laying on the ground holding his face after he got elbowed. And you can see he's coming off bleeding and stuff. And it's
Right.
like, so, and it was the same two guys. And I think it was actually the same officiating crew for that game as it was in this game. It's like, I think they had some kind of like vendetta against the Cavs because both times I want them to see the Cavs and they all three were officiating the Cavs. Like, they just let the Cavs get bullied and let the Cavs just get beat up. And then like the Cavs would just sit there. Like Jared Allen literally caught the ball, did a spin move, and they called a foul because when he did a spin move, he bumped into someone mid shot, or whatever, and he got called for an offensive foul. And it's like, what the hell
Yeah.
is going on here? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
And
that's
so
ridiculous.
it was more of a It was more of we lost out of frustration because I think we were trying so hard to. What's the word? We're trying so hard to like be so mad and take it out on Orlando, but it just kind of backfired.
Yeah.
And like I don't mind it. We played aggressive. Like after that, we started playing more aggressive than Orlando, but it's just totally backfired. And I think we were mad at the rest, but we were trying to take it out on Orlando, and it just then we just started getting called foul after foul after foul because a lot of their buckets were from free throws.
Yeah.
To be fair too, like they were on the free throw line like 90% of the game. It was like James Harden in one game going to the
Right.
free throw line.
Yeah, my goodness. Yeah, I mean, and again, that's going to happen in the league. It sucks when that happens and you're on the wrong end of it.
Yeah,
But I think the Cavs, even though they're still a young team, they have got to learn how to better control their emotions during those
we
types of games and really try to battle back
yeah
because I mean, it's not like they lost by a lot. You said they were down by 12. They got they got back to tie it before that 4-point play. Like I think we only lost by like 6 or 7 points. So again, it wasn't like we got blown out. It's a good Magic team. They've been a solid team this year, so it's not like you lost to a bad team.
yeah
It's just one of those games where like you just gotta just erase and just be like, all right, that was a weird one. Let's come back and get a new start fresh and get a new game tonight, and that's what's
yeah.
gonna happen. So I hope that they come in ready to go with or without Donovan. Just come in ready to play and go get a win because that is in a Embiidless team over there. So
Yeah, and Donovan's game time again tonight. I just saw that. So Donovan
yeah, I
Mitchell,
saw that a little bit ago too.
yeah,
So
game time decision again tonight. So you hope he plays, but
yeah,
again, it's one of those things where if you don't have to risk it because it's just after the Also break, you then don't
yeah,
obviously risk it. You might as well just
yeah.
play one more game without him.
Yeah, because I mean, there's more important games down.
And this
down
is
the line
another
anyway.
winnable game too.
Yeah, and you still have Boston down the line. You still have the Bucks. I think a little bit more. I think you have Phoenix that's going to come up here soon. Dallas, like there's big games that are going to happen within the next month or two before the playoffs.
Upcoming, you have the Sixers tonight, the Wizards on Monday,
Sure.
the Mavericks
Yep.
on the Mavericks on Wednesday. Then you have the Bulls after the Mavericks and Detroit. So you have a couple easy matchups against the Bulls and the Pistons.
Yep.
But then you start getting to a stretch of the Knicks, the Celtics, the Hawks, the Wolves.
And then I think they go on the West Coast trip here soon too because of the MAC-10 tournament as well. So
that's getting towards that's coming up soon because you start playing. Well, Phoenix is at home, but then you go to during the MAC tournament you have the New Orleans Pelicans, the Rockets, and the Pacers on the road.
okay.
So it's more of a Midwest Southern road trip. So, but
usually at that time it's always like literally a full West Coast trip. It's so weird.
So I mean, you have the Cavs. They got a couple favorable matchups coming up, but then you start getting, like you said, you start getting the Knicks and the Celtics back to back, and you start getting the Timberwolves and the Suns back to back in those regards too. So you I'd rather have Mitchell for those games than
Yeah.
for like the Detroit Pistons. Like I'm sure you can handle Detroit without Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, it there's definitely a lot more important games down the line, and honestly,
Hmm.
those are games that I really want to see the Cavs at full capacity as much as they can, because that'll be a good testament to see where they are at versus where they still need to get
Hmm.
to for the playoff run, because the playoffs are not too far away.
No.
Pretty sure it'll happen here in probably the next 2 months. I think in April sometime. So
Last game is April 7th.
yeah, so I mean, I bet you the playoffs will start after like April like 13th or 14th or something like
Yeah.
that. So, um, it's coming down the line. It's going to happen very fast, and by that time baseball is going to be going. You got the draft that's going to happen a few weeks after that. Like
Peak
it's one of
sports
the most
time.
prime like peak sports times ever, man. I love that time of the year. The only time of the year that's better than that is October, because you got playoff baseball, you got football starting, and you got basketball starting back up as well at that time. So like, it's those times of the year are just so much fun for me.
Yeah.
But this time is one of my favorite times right now, and we will get into that a little bit. But before we move on to spring ball, All Star Game thoughts. The dunk contest sucked balls. That was the most boring dunk contest I think I've seen in a minute. Besides the fact that the white boy came through and he balled out, but like Jalen Brown got so much gas for like no reason. Like his dunks were just so mid. Like I've seen better dunks on NBA Live '09. Like I've it's ridiculous how
I love
just
that game.
how down the dunk contest is now, man. It's not even fun. Like the 3-point contest was fun. Even the little
Hmm.
Steph Curry thing that they did with I'm blanking on on her name, but they like that's fun to do. And like obviously the All Star
Oh,
game was very mid.
yeah. Steph versus Sabrina.
Yeah, and like the actual game, it was very mid. It was pretty stupid that freaking Donovan played like 16 minutes. I think he had like the least amount of minutes played on the East team. So
It
like
was 12 minutes.
it was so weird. Like screw you, Doc. Like first of all, you shouldn't have even been there. The only
Well,
reason why
Doc.
you are is because the Bucks are first in the division or whatever. Like it was
Well,
so freaking weird, man.
the
It
thing
really
is,
was.
he had Damian Lillard and Giannis in for like 90% of the fucking game.
Yeah, dude, over 30 minutes I think each of them played. Like
It was
why?
ridiculous.
Why? Like let
Yeah.
everybody play 20 25 minutes. Like let everybody go. Like in like that's why the MLB's game is the best, because they play for that home field advantage and the World Series. That's what the winner gets. The NBA and in the NFL have got to start catching on to this. Make the
Hmm.
games more competitive, or at least more fun for everybody, because when you're seeing it, it's just, and although the players know, it's pretty much just time to just screw around at the park and just dick around.
Yeah.
It's not fun for us to watch on TV, and it's really not fun to go to there because it's probably expensive as hell.
And for a
Like
mid game too.
yeah, like it's not even worth it.
Well, and it's funny
Cleveland
because
Cleveland did it well too, but like that's because it was Cleveland and we were just pumped about it. But like, man, the All Star game sucks.
yeah, no, and I remember my dad. I was talking to him the other day, and he goes, "I remember back in the day, because obviously our dads lived during like the Jordan era and stuff like that. He was
Yeah,
like, back in my day, the games were like, they're like actual NBA games. It was like 109 to like 111 or something was like
yeah,
the final score. But he's like, back then too, they played for you know the NBA finals and stuff like that. Like it was kind of like that. Whereas like the MLB, where you had like, oh, you're playing for home court in the NBA finals. Like it wasn't like, oh, best record gets home court in the NBA finals. He's like, no, whoever won the East or whoever won East or West that got home court.
yeah,
But he's like, after like the '90s, they stopped doing that.
yeah,
And then I was like, yeah, like that's why everyone likes the MLB All Star Game. That's why everyone likes like like you said, the MLB All Star Game, because you're playing for the home field advantage for the World Series.
yeah,
Like it means something to win that game. those players actually try. Yeah, they're mic'd up during the game, they're having a laugh and stuff like that, but they're still trying
Yeah.
because you're playing for something. You know, you don't see the pitcher throwing a 60-mile-an-hour meatball down the plate, so
Yeah.
Jose Ramirez can crank at 450 feet. Like, that's not what they're doing. It doesn't matter about being high scoring. It's about winning. So that way, whoever makes the World Series from your division, you have the home field.
And
Like,
everybody
that's why
plays too. Everybody plays.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Donovan Mitchell and Trey Young had the least amount of minutes in the East. Trey Young had 14 minutes. Mitchell had 15 minutes.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
And those two are ballers. Like, those two are absolute ballers. And you gave them like 15 minutes apiece, and you're like, yeah, you guys aren't playing at all. So
Yeah.
And then you look at, Antetokounmpo and Halliburton and Tatum and Lillard and Brown. They all had 25 plus.
Yeah.
And it's like, why are those guys getting all the minutes? Jaylen Brown was not only just mid in the dunk contest, he was mid in the All-Star game too.
Right.
Like, he's probably the most mid All-Star I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Like,
it was so bad.
we need to ban Jaylen Brown from the All-Star game because he should not be participating in anything. Going back to the dunk contest, it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen because nobody's creative anymore. They all just do in-game dunks.
Yeah.
Whoever the judges were, I mean, I know a couple of them were high caliber dunk contest people and also high caliber players, obviously, but
Yeah.
their grading was horrible.
Yeah. It was so bad.
Like, it was just all bad altogether. Like, Mac McClung was the only one last year and this year to save the dunk contest with impressive dunks.
And he's not even in the NBA. Right.
Well, did you hear what oh god, what's his name? He played for the Pacers in the 90s. Oh, Miller.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller. Or he goes, the dunk contest and all these other contests, they need to be NBA exclusive only, no G League players and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, but when a G League player is the only one who's actually doing shit, I'd rather have the G League player over the NBA player because he actually knows how to be creative. He actually knows how to dunk a ball. Like,
Yeah.
Like when you saw Waukese Jr. try to dunk over Shaq, Shaq had to bend over and he put his hand on his back so he can get more leverage to dunk over him. Mac McClung just cleared him like it was no problem.
Yeah.
And like almost bashed his head on the fucking rim when he did it, but
Yeah.
I was like, he didn't need to put his hand on him. He didn't need Shaq to dunk. Like, or you had Jaylen Brown jumping over a 5'2" Kai Cenat, a Twitch streamer, like,
Yeah. That.
and you had him sit down too. He wasn't even standing; he was sitting down.
Yeah.
So
it
that wasn't even
so
impressive.
stupid. No.
Like,
it
there was
so
like,
impressive.
I missed the dunk contest where it was like Zach LaVine versus Aaron Gordon,
Yeah.
or like
the Blake
or
Griffins jumping over a car that they brought in, like,
what was it, like 2009 or whatever, where it was Gerald Green who put a cupcake on the rim and blew out a candle on the cupcake or something.
yeah,
Like, where's that creativity? Or JaVale McGee with the 2 basketball hoops and he dunked 2 basketballs at the same time, both 10 feet. Like,
the Vince
those
Carter
were the-
days when Vince Carter's like doing just
Exactly.
crazy shit. Like, the creativity is so lackluster. It's not even funny. Like, it's because
Yeah.
nobody has like the street ball mentality, and like
No.
guys that do really can't dunk. Like, Luca is one of those guys that like plays kind of like a street ball guy. Kyrie is a guy that has that like
They just
mentality,
can't dunk.
and they just can't dunk consistently. I mean, sure they can, but it's not like, I mean, Kyrie has some hops. Luca is a little lackluster. I know he can dunk here and there, but it's not his MO. And you
I
have
had-
guys that are so freaking athletic, and they're just nothing.
I had somebody on TikTok because I made a comment on this guy's TikTok because he did his own grading on the dunk contest. And mind you, he was actually like good at it and graded fair. And he, like, every time Matt McClellan did a dunk, he was like impressed.
Yeah,
And like he gave Jaylen Brown like the lowest scores possible.
yeah, because
But-
that's true.
Well, I commented and I was like, Matt McClellan only saved is the only one who saved the dunk contest. First of all, I got like almost like 10,000 likes on that comment. Second of all, I had a guy go, it should be Victor Wembanyama and stuff. I was like, Victor Wembanyama, he's 7'6". Like, what's he gonna do? Tiptoe and
Right.
dunk it? Like that's not
What he's gonna try to dunk from like the 3-point line? Like, that's the only thing that he's gonna be able to do impressively.
I was like, he can't do anything creative because he's already so tall. Like, it's not
And,
gonna look cool.
I mean, and God, who was it Shannon Sharp that said this? But it was somebody that blamed LeBron as the reason why the dunk contest is not as crazy as it could be because he never entered it. I
They always
forget
have to
who
bring
said it.
LeBron. They have to bring LeBron into
Yeah,
anything.
it's
Like,
always. But like why? Like yeah, we all wanted LeBron to be there 10 years ago and he should have when he was with
mm,
Miami. Absolutely. Or even when he was with the Cavs the first time, LeBron should have done it, but he didn't.
yeah.
And it's okay. Like it is what it is, but like dude, everybody's lack of of creativity is just so bad. Like it's pathetic.
And they're bringing in a bunch of like no-name NBA players too, like
Yeah,
Jaime
nobody that
Jaquez
anybody
Jr.
cares. Yeah, nobody
Like,
that anybody cares or even knows of.
yeah, like okay, cool. The only one that was known was Jalen, which is probably why Jalen Brown was who made it to the finals because
Yep.
he was the only
They knew.
recognizable NBA player.
Yep, and they knew.
And they knew, so they were like, "Well, we got to send him to the like." I'd rather have Jacob Toppin because his dunks were actually a lot better too. Like
Yeah.
it should have been him and Mac McClung because Toppin's dunks were actually really good. Like I thought he had better dunks than Jalen Brown
Yeah.
and more
Just
tougher
pathetic.
dunks. But
So
just
annoying.
because Jalen Brown's a Celtic and he's a more known player, like, well, we gotta send him to the final, and
It's ridiculous.
thank
It's
God a G League player
ridiculous.
beat him.
Such a weird weekend, and you know
So
it is what it
stupid.
is. But I'm glad it's over, and yeah, it's just
Can we also ban like the actual just All Star game too, unless it means something? Because when the score is 211 to 186,
yeah, like when people have to put in bets and say if the teams are gonna combine for over, I think it was like 363 or something like
it was
that. I was like,
357. I betted on it too, and I was like, I get cashed easy because it's like it's
Yeah.
gonna be over for sure.
yeah, like,
Nobody
it's gonna
plays
be over.
defense. They just
No.
all pop threes, and then they all make open threes. Like that's all
Right.
it is.
So like it's just man, it's either that or just make the game shorter. Like don't make the game be like full quarters. Like make them be like 8-minute quarters apiece or something like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like make it not as long because
Or just
those
do,
games
like-
are just they're brutal to watch.
Or just do college and just do like 220 minutes or something.
Mhm. Yeah, whatever
the-
it is.
You don't need
there's gotta be a
48
better solution.
minutes. Like
No.
drop it to like 40 or something.
Absolutely, I totally
Like,
agree.
It's so stupid, dude. The All Star game's so dumb now. Like, or like
But-
just make you play for something. Play for home court advantage in the finals. Like one thing like I liked about I know like we're the only one that does All Star games. So like me being a soccer guy, the MLS like they just get the best players in the MLS and they call like the MLS like 11 or like All Star
Yeah.
11. And they'll play like one of the best teams in the world. Like this past season, they played against Arsenal of the Premier League. Like they'll play against like the biggest clubs in the world. They'll play like Real Madrid or like Barcelona or like Bayern Munich. Like they'll play like the bigger clubs. So they'll just get like the best like starting 11 players from the MLS and be like, all right, cool, you're going to go against the best team in the fucking world.
Yeah,
Like good luck. and of course like the MLS also has got killed like 7-2, but
right.
you're playing the best team in the world. So what are you supposed to do?
Yeah,
It's
so silly.
it's supposed to be tough. Like you're not supposed to make it easy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I really wish they would try to maybe make it more competitive. I mean, I know they did obviously, you know, team LeBron versus team here and there, or whatever. But
That was dumb too.
It was dumb too, and it's just fuck, man. The All-Star break sucks. But
I'm glad they went back to East and West.
yeah, but so now I would like to move on to some spring training ball because the Guardians are officially starting tomorrow in their first game against the Reds. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the thing. Well, actually, I think it's like 3:05 is what it is. But point is, Gardos are back up, and dude, I am so excited for this team because they are so young. And there are guys that really started to shine at the end of last year that I really want to see again in the spring
Yeah.
training, and I think you will. And that includes this starting lineup of pitchers, man. We have a pretty solid and young starting lineup, aside from Shane Bieber, who honestly I'm still surprised is a part of the team, and I definitely think he could be a guy that gets traded at some point for this year, especially if these young guys really do well. But Tristan McKenzie finally healthy. You got obviously Tanner Bybee or BB, whatever the hell his
Yeah,
name,
Bybee,
name
yeah.
is.
Logan
what-
Allen,
Yeah, Logan Allen.
a lefty.
Gavin Williams or whatever his
Gavin
name
Williams,
is.
yep. Gavin Williams.
Another guy that was really showing some real there's just
and
there's-
the guy starting tomorrow. Don't forget the guy starting tomorrow. He's back. Carlos Carrasco.
Oh, that's right.
He's
Yes.
back.
Yes, that's gonna be good for just like the clubhouse, I think. Like,
That's why they brought him back. It's probably just
yeah,
for clubhouse, like just veteran leadership. Just
and like he could probably play a little bit in the bullpen, like just be like one of the middle guys that that can be thrown in for at least a inning or two. You don't really need him to start, and
no, you
it's
have
just
great
cool to have
starters
him
already.
back. Everybody loves Carrasco. Cookie's back. It'll be fun.
Yeah,
But like we are now under a new coach, a new era, and if it feels like a fresh start, and you still have some of your better players. I mean, obviously you have the goat and Jose. You have on Andreas Jimenez. You have a lot of these guys in the outfield that are really really
Stephen Kwan.
talented. Stephen
Yeah,
Kwan, just lots of good guys, and I'm really gonna try to look to see who is gonna shine here uh, at the start of spring training, and yeah, I'm really curious to see what the lineup is gonna look like at the beginning of the year. On what is it, April 8th is when the first game is officially for us.
that's our home opener.
Yeah, yeah. So
We're on the road for like a week before
yeah,
that because
which
the
is
first
that's
games are
always how it
like
is.
the
Yeah,
first games are like end of March,
yeah.
like March like 25th, 26th, and but we always start off on like a little West Coast road trip
We
because
have to because we get random snowstorms and dumb shit. Like,
yeah.
well,
So we're starting. I think we start off in like I think we're in L.A.
yeah,
playing like the Angels or something for like the first like few
see
games,
that.
and then we're in like Seattle or something.
Yeah,
So we have like you said we have to because we still get those random snow days and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it gets because like let's see the first half. Okay, so we're in Oakland and Seattle.
yeah. That
So
sounds
so,
right.
so March
We were
28th.
close enough.
Yeah, March 28th through the 31st we're in Oakland. Then April 1st through the 3rd we're in Seattle. Then we're in Minnesota from the 4th, which is weird, Minnesota,
Yeah.
because they can also get snow in beginning of April. But yeah, then we're at home April 8th through the 14th against Chicago and New York.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like you said, it's going to be nice. We have a fresh start. Steven Vogt, fresh manager. He just retired like 2 seasons ago. Was a bullpen manager, was the manager of the bullpen last year for Seattle as his first coaching gig. Now he's with the Guardians as the main guy, the main manager, to fill in for Tito. But I like it because he's 38 years old, 39,
I
so young
mean,
young manager.
I was about to
He,
say he's fresh retired as a player.
player
Like he just retired in what 21 or 22.
22, like he
Yeah.
retired after the 22 season. So
Yeah.
and he was just a beginner coach last year. Like I said, he was a bullpens coach last year for Seattle, and now he's with the Guardians as a full time manager. And but again, it's nice to have a young manager with a young team, fresh ideas. I mean, he's a catcher too, so he can definitely help out with the catcher situation,
Especially
which
with
has
Bo
been
Naylor,
struggling for a while. But we have, like you said, the young guys. We have Bo Naylor as a catcher, Josh Naylor's brother, who's really good at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we brought back somebody too that we had.
Austin
there for a
Hedges.
little bit. Yep. He's
He
back.
was with us. He just freshly off a World Series. He's with Texas.
So like I mean again, it's a opportunity for these young guys to actually get their time, because that was our major complaint last year was Tito just likes to keep with guys. He's too old school. Like he doesn't want to stick to these young guys and let them play. And the result was Bo just not being able to get into a rhythm, both on offense and on defense, even though he was the clearly better catcher. I mean, by far, the
Gallagher
dude
was
hit better.
horrible.
Yeah, the dude hit better. The dude fielded better. He would throw so many guys out. I mean, I even remember the one where he literally caught it, span, and just threw him, and the dude was out by a mile. I mean, the dude's got a great arm. Hedges is another solid guy who's not even really a great hitter, but as a defensive guy, he's very, very good. Much better than Gallagher was.
I didn't think you bring him in for veteran leadership to help Bo Naylor too, because again, Austin Hedges is a guy who knows how to throw out guys at second base. He's a guy who's got a great arm. Again, not a fantastic hitter, but that's what you got Bo Naylor for. Bo Naylor's a fantastic hitter, and like you have other guys too that didn't get an opportunity under Tito, like Brian Rocchio, which is why you got rid of Ahmed Rosario at shortstop, because Rocchio is younger and he's supposed to be just as good as defensively and as a hitter. So and now he's going to get an opportunity under Daniel Vogt. Again, you have guys like Will Brennan, who's going to be a consistent starter in the outfield now.
Yeah.
Even though Oscar Gonzalez didn't get much of an opportunity, even though he deserved an opportunity, but again, he just didn't get much of anything under Tito, and they dumped him out. He's gone somewhere else now. I think he's in New York. He's with the Yankees now.
Yeah, he is.
And but yeah, a lot of these guys getting fresh starts now. They don't have to go up and down from Columbus every other day like Bo Naylor did and Rocchio and stuff like that. And Tyler Freeman is another one who went severely underrated last year, and he was really good.
Solid
a lot of these
fielder.
Solid infield, and he could play in the outfield too. And you have a lot. And you have a lot of those guys. A lot of those guys could play infield and in the outfield. So it's not like a lot of those guys. David Fry is another one.
Yeah.
David Fry is a guy who plays catcher, first base, and outfield.
And he played well for us whenever he had to. Like, it was so refreshing, man.
I think he had 3 game-winning hits too last year. Like, it's like when you see David Fry up in the 9th inning, you're like, oh, it's gonna be over. He's gonna hit a game winner, and he would. He would hit a game winner.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just gonna be nice, and I really hope that they stick with Naylor. I think bringing back Austin Hedges really does well for Shane Bieber in this particular thing. I think switching up to new guys behind the plate really messed him up and messed a couple of guys up. Because that's that thing, man. Pitchers and catchers have the continuity. And if they haven't worked together long enough, they don't know how to set each other up. And that is, people don't understand how big of a deal that is in baseball, man. Like, being able to set yourself up with your pitcher and catcher is so freaking important. It's so important to have that continuity. And I know Tito wanted to go with Gallagher because he was more of a vet, but he did not have any continuity with these guys. And now the young guys that are going to come in are going to have the continuity with with Bo anyway, because Bo played with them in Double-A and Triple-A. So it's going to be refreshing to be able to just see what this team can do as this young team. And I think that's the new wave in the league now, is these younger teams. Arizona last year was a young, just through the roof talented team all of a sudden. And you're starting to get away from these like super teams like the Dodgers. Like, they're going to keep spending money and they're still going to be good. They might not even get out of the first round for all we know, because that's just how the league is working. Baseball is such a different game, man. Like, you do not need to be spending hundreds of millions of dollars on certain players to really compete. I mean, Ohtani couldn't put the Angels above anything. It's not like him alone is going to be the major difference for them.
Okay, cool.
So
I was trying to think of the other catcher that we had. It was Mike Zunino.
Yeah.
With Cam Gallagher, and I was like, who's the other? Because both were just horrible.
Yeah, they were both horrible. Like they both batted under like 200 to like 150 even. Like, it was horrible.
No, they're both like, I think when we let go of Mike Zunino, because we let him go before Cam Gallagher, because Cam Gallagher stayed with us for the full season just because we needed another catcher.
Yeah.
Zunino was only batting like .93 or something.
Yeah.
And then I think Gallagher was the same way. I think he was only just like at like 100, which was insane. And then obviously Bo Naylor comes in and just dominates, but it's neither here or there. And then I just looked up the roster, and
we still have Miles Straw, really.
Yeah, that's another one. Miles Straw is still here, which I think I'd rather have, because my take on this was you let go of Straw, you move Quan, because Quan I think was originally a center fielder too. Yeah. So I think my idea was you put Brennan into where Quan is in left field. You put Quan back in center, and then you can interchange this however you want. You can put like Freeman in right, David Fry in right, like interchange as much as you want. You can put somebody else in right field and just let go of Miles Straw.
Yeah,
because like I get it, Miles Straw's a Gold Glover, but he can't hit to save his life.
Like, yeah, the only thing that he's really good at, honestly,
is defensive.
Is that and running bases.
Yeah, because he's fast.
Because he can steal the ball or he
steal bases.
He can steal bases, but yeah, Will Brennan, Steven Florial is a guy out there as well. I'm really curious to see how that De Los Santos kid plays.
Yeah.
because
I heard
I've
good
heard
things
he's
about
a
him.
great hitter.
I heard so
Um,
too.
and obviously you still have Fry as well, who is listed as
As
a
a catcher,
catcher,
yeah, he's a
but
third
he
catcher.
but he can play everything.
He's a
Same with
utility.
Freeman. And then oh yeah, that's right. We still have the Johnsky Noel kid, who's another first baseman. You have Jonathan
Mm.
Rodriguez as another outfielder,
You also have Kyle
and
Manzardo, because
and George
Manzardo's
George
supposed to be a baller.
Valera. Yeah, so there. I mean, there's guys, and I don't really see prospects, but yeah, the bullpen even. Let's see the bullpen here. Obviously, you still got Clace. You still
Yeah,
got. I mean, a lot of these guys I really don't know besides uh Karnacek. Um,
yeah, Karinchak.
Tim Herron I know.
Mm-hmm.
Stefan I know. Elijah Morgan I know. Other than that, a lot of these guys are different. But you still have Carrasco. You still have Gaddis, which my God, I freaking hated him last year. But yeah, a lot of these guys are newer to me, so it'll be nice to see um, what they can do with this team. But I mean, the projected starting lineup for us is Quan starting off, Jimenez, the GOAT, Josh Naylor, and then Bo Naylor as the fifth. And then you've got Ramon Lorino as an
Oh, Ramon
outfielder.
Laureano.
And then you have Kyle Manzardo.
Yeah, Kyle Manzardo. He's a prospect that we got when we made the trade with Tampa Bay when we traded
Okay.
Savali, and we got him. He's like a top like 10 prospect or
Nice.
something. He's like a
Nice.
top 15 prospect.
And then you have obviously Riccio as your
Yep.
shortstop, and then
Rocchio,
Miles
yep.
Straw as one of the other outfielders. And then, dude, honestly, the biggest flex that we have is this projected starting pitching rotation. You obviously have Bieber, who was a former Cy Young winner.
Mm-hmm.
You have Tristan McKenzie, who has Cy Young potential that has just been injured. Tanner Bybee is another solid dude that could very win a Cy Young within the next year or two as
Almost
well.
won Rookie of the Year.
Logan Allen, who's always been solid for us, and then Gavin Williams, which I think he's going to end up getting put over Allen at some point because he is really, really good. And I think as he starts to settle in more, he is going to be fantastic for us. He's a big body dude.
And the best part is too,
pitching.
look at all the ages too for those guys.
Yeah.
Allen,
They're all young.
Allen, 24 years old.
Yeah.
Bybee, 23. You know, you have all these guys were so like unbearably young. Like Gavin Williams, like born in 99, he's like 22. Tristan McKenzie's only 26, 27.
Yeah.
So like all these guys are just absolutely young, but they're so good. And you have a guy who played a lot in Akron, Daniel Espino, who's supposed to be really good. So he could be called up at any point too during the season. Like a lot of these guys are young, but they're so good.
Yeah.
And a lot of these could be Cy Young potential players and Cy Young potential pitchers, especially in the future.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be fun.
It's fun
gonna
roster.
be a very, very, very fun time. I'm just excited for the fact that it just feels like a fresh start without actually getting rid of like quality players. Like we kept the good ones, in my opinion, and we have added so much good in terms of just who we are starting to use. Finally, we're starting to just continue to use. Like that's one thing about this team that has always been so good is we have one of the best farm systems in the entire league. We have always consistently been able to produce really good prospects that get into the league, and then usually most of the time we get everything out of them, and then by the time guys like Lindor and them leave, they're done anyway. I mean, it was the same thing with Kluber. Shout out to him who just retired. Just guys like that. We got the most out of them. We squeezed every bit of them that we had. And once they left, it didn't affect us. It didn't hurt us because we gave ourselves enough time to continue developing. And I just think that is one of the best things about this team and why we don't need a big payroll because we've always produced well in the minors. And I think it's such a nice quality for us to have as a team.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the thing is too is like I know a lot of people get a lot of shit to the Dolans for not going out and buying players and stuff like that. First of all, we did last year with Josh Bell, and look how that panned out.
Yeah.
We spent $20 million on Josh Bell, and he didn't do shit.
We
And
traded him before the deadline.
yeah, and then but the thing is, it's like you said, the way the MLB runs, it's not like the NFL or the NBA. There's no cap. It's all luxury tax.
Yeah.
So small markets like Cleveland are literally in last place when it comes to that, because I think we only have like 30 mil.
Right.
So like you said, we would always have a good farm system because we have to. We have to have a good farm system because we have to develop players. We have to make them good. That's how teams like us and Minnesota and Detroit, that's how a lot of these teams compete, because we don't have money. Kansas City, like, we're all broke.
Yeah.
But we have to have good farm systems so we can continue to compete.
Right.
With New York and LA and all these big markets, Miami. Like, it's very difficult to compete in this league unless you have a good farm system, because again, you can't sit there and go out and spend $750 million for 10 years on Shohei Ohtani like the Dodgers can.
Right.
And just defer the payment and pay it off and pay a certain amount every year so you can make those payments.
Yeah.
Like, we can't do that. We have to rely on young talent. And I mean, look at our roster in 2016. We made the World Series. It wasn't the best looking roster, but you had guys who could do certain things that could lead you. And then in 2017, the same group of guys led you on a 23-game or 22-game win streak at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So you have to heavily rely on these young, talented players, your prospects and stuff like that, because you can't go out there and spend $100 million on other guys. You can't go out and spend so much money because you don't have that money.
Yeah.
And I don't get why I don't understand why people give the Dolans a lot of shit for that. It's like, you realize we don't have the money for the player.
Yeah.
We don't have it. I get it. You want us to spend money. I want us to spend a little bit of money too. But the thing is, we don't have that money.
And
we're broke.
And the money that we have spent, we've spent on the players that have been worthy of playing. I mean, guys like Jose,
who got a big extension last year.
Yeah, like all of that, like that's what we asked for, and they at least delivered on that. So at least respect that, because honestly, they're doing what what they can with what what they have, and it is what it is. We don't have control or saying that. I mean, if you really want to help them out, guys, go to the games. Go to the games. Show up every single day. Show up to those games. Sell out, because this team is fun enough to sell out all the time. And guess what? Let me tell you something. The games are so fun to go to. They're so fun, no matter if they lose or win. They are so fun to go to. Take your family.
So cheap too.
And they're so cheap. My God. Dude, get the
get
monthly
bleacher
deal.
seats.
Yeah.
You can get bleacher seats for like $15. You can go in the standing room section for $15.
Yeah.
Like, games are so cheap. Like you said, we did me and my girlfriend did the ballpark pass last year, $49 a month to get in the standing room. You can go to every home game, like season tickets, for $49 a month.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's affordable for a lot of people. Like, if I can afford it, you can too. Like, it's so simple. Like, I can now go to, and they're supposed to do it again this year, but the last time they did it last year, they released the tickets like a week before the season started. So be on the lookout for that, because guess what? They only did 3,000 last year. They actually raised it to 6,000 in the middle of the season because a lot of people wanted it. Yeah. And now they're tearing down the terraces up in the right field corner because nobody sat up there. Yeah. And they're making a big standing room bar area. Yeah, and they're doing the same thing behind left field, where the big glass, where the restaurant is, where the glass windows are. Yep. Right above it, they're doing the same thing. They're adding a standing room bar area up there too, so that way they could do 6,000 of these ballpark passes. So that way more people don't have to cram into the left field and right field ones that are like very small. Yeah. That way not everyone can cram, because not everyone can cram in there. So now they're expanding the standing room section to where now they have room for everyone to stand, enjoy the game, get a drink. It's a win-win, and guess what? It's $49 a month. Or if you just want to go to one game, it's $15. Yeah. It's so cheap. If you want to help us sign players, go to games, because we could use that money to sign players, buy merch, buy concessions.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's so fun to go, and like if that's really how you want to do things and how like the things that you want to complain about, then show up, right?
Then
Like if
show
you
up,
really care about the team, because
sell out.
that's how they're gonna do it. But at the end of the day, we are not LA. We are not a large market. It happens. It is what it is. And if you really want that fix, then the league has to come up with a salary cap. And I'm telling you, that's just not going to happen in the
They're
MLB.
not gonna
It's
do
not.
it.
So
They probably won't for years.
complain about that, but don't complain about the fact that we just can't because we just don't have the payroll that they do. And it is what it is.
I would love
Um,
Shohei Otani or like a Jose Altuve,
yeah.
but we're broke. We can't
and we
afford
don't
them.
and we don't need them because honestly, I feel like they haven't even helped their teams. I mean, think of all of the major named guys right now: Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Otani. None of them have been to a freaking World Series in a minute. I think Harper is the last one out of those three to go to any sort of World Series
2 years ago,
within like
like
yeah within the last few years. Other than
mhm.
that, that's it. So
Yeah.
like
Well,
it
and
just
then
proves that you don't need those big guys.
you had Trout and Otani on the same team,
Mm-hmm.
and the Angels could barely even win 70 games.
Yeah.
Because guess what? All the players around them were trash. Besides just those two. Because
Coaching's
guess what?
trash, everything.
They spent all their money on Otani and Trout, and they couldn't buy anybody else. And guess what? They were garbage. They couldn't even win game. They couldn't win enough games to go. They haven't been to the playoffs in 15 years. They
That's
can't go to the
crazy.
playoffs because they're idiots.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how to spend their money properly. The Dodgers, yeah, they spend so much money, and they still can't make a World Series. They haven't won the World Series since 2017, 2018.
Yep.
And they spent all this money on Mookie Betts and all these other players, Freddie Freeman, and they still can't make the World Series.
Or even look at the Mets and the
They
Yankees.
spent so much money, and they still
mean,
can't even
the
make it
Mets-
past the first round.
I mean, the Mets threw how much money at Lindor, and he has been a dud.
Mediocre player.
He has been a dud in New York.
He
Like-
needed to stay in Cleveland because
Yeah.
that's where he shined. He needed to stay in Cleveland,
Yep, he knew it, and it is
and
what it
I
is
think he
now.
knows it now.
Oh yeah,
and
he
I'm
does
sure
now.
correct.
He has to.
And I'm sure, and it's like he's like, well, shit, it's already too late now. I can't go back.
Yeah,
Like,
because I mean, you go back and you're just gonna get an average player that's not
good.
like you don't even have enough confidence in him because he's been batting like 220, 230,
Yeah.
maybe 250, and like even that is like it's just not where he was with us, where he was like 280, 290, above 300 at times with him and Jose.
Well,
I mean, that
and
was
and
a duo.
the funny thing is too is before we traded Ahmed Rosario to the Dodgers, unfortunately, funny enough,
Yeah.
Ahmed Rosario was batting almost 300, and he was leading the league in triples.
Yeah.
Like I almost said, yeah, I get it. Like Ahmed Rosario's defense is horrible, but at least the guy can hit.
Right.
At least he can
And
get on
now-
base.
And I'm pretty sure he like just got a like a pretty small deal for some random team. I
I saw it. I saw it. He just got a deal somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. I think it was Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I want to say, but
Something like that.
I can't exactly remember what happened. Yeah, it was Tampa Bay. So, Ahmed Rosario goes to Tampa Bay, and I mean, it could really help Tampa Bay with their batting because they've been struggling with hitting a lot since they lost Wander Franco to alleged sexual assault with minors.
Yeah.
So
Which is something, my God. Yeah. So
it's a little something.
MLB. So obviously, we have baseball back. It's so good to be back. I'm so excited to see
Absolutely.
what this team gets to. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
And then now we're gonna go ahead and transition a little bit for the last 10 minutes or so, to a little bit of NFL news. And before we got on here, Andrew did not even see this, so I am so glad that he did not, so I could give him the good news. But the salary cap has officially been set for the 2024-2025 season, and it is much bigger than even anybody ever thought it was going to be. Everybody thought it would be around 233 or 235. It's at 255 million is the cap right now, which is significantly bigger from last year, which I think last year's was around 230. So a huge jump. And honestly, that's been the theme for the last few years. It seems to be going up around 20 million a year for the last few years. So it's popping. And that favors the Browns heavily, considering all of the cap hits that we are about to have this year. Obviously, with Watson's gigantic cap hit, but the good thing is too is the Browns have a guy named Andrew Berry in that office and on
Yeah.
our side, and there's going to be restructures. We have about 30 million, I think, in rollover from last year that I think goes into that. So we are already over the cap as is right now. And that does not include the current restructures that are going to happen within the next few weeks. Obviously, the legal tampering period begins March 11th, which means free agents, trades, and stuff can happen by around that time, or at least get started, and then goes official when the New Year League or the new league year begins on March 13th. So that's
Yeah.
it's like a 52-hour tampering window is what is what they call it. So a lot is about to happen, and as we have been stating for the last few weeks, we are expecting Andrew Berry to be really aggressive this year to really finally turn the knob a little bit, because the last few off seasons we have not gone super crazy. We've had good signings. I think honestly last year's was the most that we've had since Dorsey was here. um, and it was just good to see. And now that we've had our window with just how good we played this year, despite all of the injuries, I think Andrew Berry knows like this is now or never. It's time to start letting the gun loose a little bit, and that's
Mhm.
what I expect. And I'm telling you what, him seeing the salary cap go up this much, he's probably licking his chops. He is gotta be excited about this.
Oh yeah. I just looked on Twitter too. Mary Kay Cabot released like a half hour, an
Yeah,
hour ago.
yeah,
Watson, Cooper, and a few others are definitely favors to get their contract restructured, and so again, that could put us almost again right back at the top of the list of
yep,
cap space in the NFL, and the Browns are gonna be like, who are we gonna sign now?
yep,
Who's gonna be added to this delicious roster that we have?
yep.
And I'm looking at a lot of guys, and I'm sure a lot of guys now in the NFL want to be a part of this Browns team and what they're doing because this team's looking pretty fucking good, especially with the guys who we just got in the coaching staff too. This team is looking pretty spicy. So I'm sure a lot of guys would want to be in this locker room, would want to be in this
Yep.
environment and vibe. And the Cavs are for the first time in our life, we could say the Browns are a favorable landing spot for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's getting to a point now where teams are or guys are really going to just want to be a part of it because the culture is finally set. I think Stefanski. I mean, now that he's won coach, of the year twice for us.
Yeah,
Obviously Schwartz has been outstanding. The guys that we have added since then,
I've been
and
outstanding.
the players have just taken that new hill of just being like, yeah, this is a team you want to be a part of. It's gonna be fun. It really is. It's gonna be so much fun. And I'll tell you something else too that's gonna happen starting next week is the NFL Combine as well. So we are also gonna get a taste and a look at some of these guys that we could potentially draft. And obviously you want to use the free agency period as your okay, let's see what holes we can fill here, and then whatever you don't really fill there you're going to fill in a draft. And a
Hmm.
lot of the times the draft seems to be guys that are just going to be potentially in the in the rotation, and guys who can just develop within the next year or two. But it is going to be exciting. There is
Yeah,
so much excitement now that I know the cap. And there was rumor about this earlier this week. I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. Somebody had put out that that the cap could potentially go above 250. And when I heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be nuts. Like it's going to give Barry so much more leverage. And
to give him room.
again, when it comes to these restructures, I mean, you could potentially uh, do Watson's deal alone and save 33 million this year. 33
Yeah.
million. I mean, that's a whole nother two to four contracts depending on who you sign or take on. And again, I said earlier, he takes up 22.5% of the cap hit alone on this team. So doing that alone is great. Cooper, his cap hit is about 23.7 mil. Ward's is 23 and a half. Miles is 20. So, and then you have Chubbs as well, which I also think Chubb is going to get a restructure and a resign. I know there's rumor that he is going to get cut. Angel Berry spoke so highly of him,
Hmm.
a few weeks ago. I just don't see them cutting him.
No.
They are going to restructure and they are going to re-sign him for at least another 2 or 3 years. There's no reason not to. I know he's coming off of that knee injury, but if we know Chubb the way that we know, that dude is going to come back 100%, and he is going to come back for vengeance, and he could very well contend for another comeback player of the year award for the Browns if he plays well.
Yep.
And there's just a lot to be excited about, and I'm interested to see how the combine goes. I'm gonna keep my eyes open for anybody. Honestly, like we have guys that we would like to add. I'm sure the Browns are already starting to do their homework, and they've been doing their homework for a while now. So it's just fun. It's great that we go from the Super Bowl to a few weeks later combine starts, and then next thing you know, tampering period starts. Like it don't end in the NFL, maybe. It goes, and by the time you get to the draft, after that, oh, you got rookie mini camp, and then oh, you got non-mandatory camps and workouts, and then the next thing you know, it's June and July, and you're fresh into mini camps and eventually 2 a days, and then oh my god, the NFL season's back. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. This is my favorite time of the year. I've said it so many times. But yeah, man, this cap space thing is going to be wondrous. Like, it's going to be great. And, if you guys really want to follow that or at least get really good info, Jack McCurry, man. Or sorry, not Jack McCurry. I'm such an idiot. Um, Jack Duffin. Jack McCurry is my boy in Dogland, but Jack Duffin is a former Dogland guy. He works for a lot of different people, and this dude, I swear to God, this dude works for Barry. He can constantly predict the NFL cap so well, and he honestly predicts free agents, signings, all of that shit. This dude is so smart. Look him up on Twitter, follow him, keep up to date with him as a Browns fan, because he is going to inform you guys about so much, and you are not going to feel stupid when you see his tweets because he breaks it down super well. His articles are great on the OBR. Fantastic follow. This guy is going to keep you informed. Yeah, dude. I'm just giddy, bro. I really am. I'm so giddy after that news. I was like, let's go. Heck yes.
Oh man, dude, we have every right to be giddy because this is getting so nice. This is getting so good. Like everything is just coming together for the Browns, and
Yeah.
now with this cap space, dude, we can restructure so many of these guys' deals and get even more money into cap and just start buying all these pieces. Then Andrew Barry's gonna go crazy. He's gonna go crazy in the draft this year because I think this is the first time we have a second round pick
Yeah.
in the draft this year. Instead of drafting from third and on, we now have second and on. And I mean, you already seen what the moves Barry did in the draft with third round picks and beyond. I mean, you got DeJuan Jones, Martin Emerson. You have all these guys who are just absolute studs
Yeah.
already that he got in the third round and beyond. And I'll imagine what he can do with a second. Imagine next year what he can do with a first.
Yeah.
Because next year you get back that first round pick.
Yep. And that's when we're gonna really start doing some damage.
Yep.
I really do believe it. And listen, this doesn't disclude potential trades as well, because we have a few
Yeah.
guys that we could trade away. I mean, you got
And
guys
get
like
a
Jed
first.
Wills, Conklin, you have Newsome, you have certain choices to make with Darius Smith and those type of guys. There's moves to be made, man, and it's gonna be fun to see what AB is cooking, because that dude has been just prepping so meticulously, and I mean, I would assume we're gonna hear from him before the combine, because
Yeah.
we always do. So it'll be good to see a little bit of it, inside the mind of him. But knowing him and guys like Stefanski, they don't give anything, like they don't give anything up. They keep it mysterious, and it's a thing that Browns fans love and hate at the same time because you just want to know, but also it's kind of nice to be a little mysterious, I guess, with your, what your plans are. And yeah, man, it's gonna be absolutely entertaining. I'm so excited, man. I really
I
am.
hear you, dude.
I
I'm so
can't
excited too.
like I just can't say anything else. I'm just really excited. It was some good news to hear today, and yeah, it'll be fun to see what he does.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait for the season to begin already,
Yeah,
man.
I can.
It's gonna be so fun.
Oh yeah, we have to stop the Chiefs from three-peating. We have to.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
because like, there's really only a few teams I think that have the ability to beat Mahomes, and one of them is the Bengals, just because they've done it. The Bills can do it, and then I think the Browns, if Watson can get back to that MVP type level, there
Hmm.
is not a reason at all in hell why we can't do that. Like we can't go to duel with them because uh, the Chiefs are talented, but we just have a better defense. And if we can just fill a couple more holes, my gosh, can this team really do some damage? They really can. They have so much potential.
Oh yeah, 100%, dude. Like, there's so much that could happen this year, and it's just gonna be so fun to watch and just see what Andrew Berry does with this roster and just how he just concocts the perfect roster for us and
Yeah.
how we could beat the Chiefs and who knows, maybe even make our Super Bowl for the first time.
Yeah, I mean it would be fantastic to do. Browns fans can dream, and I think the dream can be alive for once because there's a lot to be
Hmm.
excited for, guys. So,
Absolutely.
enjoy it. Like seriously, and like enjoy the off season, enjoy this time because obviously we still have questions about Watson being able to stay healthy. You know, can he get back to what he was?
Hmm.
There's a lot. Chubb, the O line, but man, there's always a plan. I think AB is light years ahead of what we think he is, and sky is the limit for this team and this staff in general. And that's, I
Absolutely.
think, what should make this team so exciting to want to be a part of because it's not just going to be this next year. It's going to be the next few years. It's going to be the next decade if you guys can just stay consistent and really continue to build. And if they can do that, this team is going to be so much fun. And it's going to be nice to see teams like the Steelers and stuff just kind of fall off the earth a little bit and be bad. And a man can dream. Will they? I don't know, obviously. But if they pick JJ McCarthy, like there's been rumors that they could pick him this year, then they're not really getting too much further from having Kenny Pickett. So
Yep.
hopefully they screw up their
That'd be
draft, but they
funny.
never fucking do. I swear to God, the Steelers and the freaking Ravens, they always draft well, especially the Ravens. It pisses me off. They
It's so
always take the
annoying,
guys
dude.
that I want us to get, and it ticks me off. Ugh, man. All right, well, that is pretty much gonna do it for us today, guys. Andrew, do you got anything else to say before we log off here?
No, man. Go Cavs.
Go Cavs,
And
go
go Guardians.
Guardians. We will see you guys next week with some hopeful NFL Combine news and more. We will see you guys next week.